pal Don Lemon has resurfaced or is about to resurface. And I realize that the magnanimous move is to say, good for Don. He got canceled off of CNN and now he's reinventing himself on Twitter. Well, that's not what I say. I think he's disgusting. He hates America. He hates Republicans. And I'm not looking forward to his voice reemerging other than to mock it, which I 100% plan to
Want
do.
to hear a funny opinion? That Don Lemon doesn't do opinion.
I don't do opinion. And I know that the difference for me is I do point of view. So I'm giving my point of view as an American, as a black.
Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld have turned Don Lemon into comedy fodder, shredding his ego with razor-sharp wit and unrelenting precision. They ripped apart his smug attitude and tone-deaf hot takes, from his spectacular fall from grace at CNN, to the awkward implosion of his morning show. Just when it seemed Lemon had already hit rock bottom, this roast drills even deeper, obliterating whatever scraps of credibility remained. It's a no-holds-barred takedown, so savage. Even his teleprompter would have called in sick.
I also represent CNN, and so I must tell the truth. And if I don't, if my facts are wrong, then I have to clarify it, and I have to come on television, and I have to apologize, and I say, I got that wrong.
That has never happened. So he's telling you what he bases his opinions off of. At the same time, he tells you he doesn't give opinions, just point of view.
That's the only silver lining in this one for me. So he's going out on X. All right. It's like, oh, great. Tucker did it on X and Tucker and I got fired on the same day. So I'll go out on X. And Don Lemon comes out with a post on X saying, it starts as follows. I've heard you. And today I'm back. Bigger, bolder, freer. I've heard you. Like the masses are clamoring. Where's Don? But we need.
They've been crying out for Don.
Come back into my life, Don.
Take some off of Bill O'Reilly.
Right. So here's honestly, and like there are people welcoming Don back to the national conversation, and for those people and others, I just have a little reminder for you of who Don Lemon is and why we can't.
Greg Gutfeld didn't need a warm-up just hearing. Don Lemon's name was enough to ignite the room. It was as if Lemon had strolled into an all-you-comedy buffet and Gutfeld arrived with an appetite. This wasn't mere political commentary. It was high-caliber performance art under the big top of a satire circus. The moment he started, it was like striking a match to a mountain of fireworks lightning. Booming, and utterly impossible to look away from.
Shown us who he is. Believe him. This is not someone who I'm rooting for. I'm not saying he should never be allowed to speak again. I'm just saying I don't have to personally cheerlead it or think it's a good thing or recognize that this is like some sort of important voice in the conversation and yay for Elon for making it possible for him to come back. He's a prick, and he f***ing hates.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the bell icon and subscribe for more. Greg Gutfeld opened with sheer disbelief at Don Lemon's almost supernatural ability to be wrong every single time. Lemon could point due south and still swear it's north, he joked. Gutfeld compared watching Lemon tackle current events to watching someone try to teach algebra in a room full of compasses armed with fancy words, but completely adrift. No matter how serious the story, Lemon somehow transformed each segment into a high school theater audition, full of overblown pauses and misplaced intensity. Even Entertainment Weekly jabbed that his broadcasts had the same energy as a student desperately trying out for the lead role in the school play. Greg.
And neither has Lemon's so-called facts, otherwise known as unhinged babble puke.
You are the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States of America, the greatest country on earth. Act like it. The president of the United States is a fraud and a con man. The president of the United States is racist. A lot of us already knew that. If you voted for Trump, you voted for the person who the Klan supported. You voted for the person who not.
Biden just did a presser on the crime wave, buddy. If you brought this guy within a mile of a lie detector, it would explode. I haven't seen that many bad opinions since the initial reviews of this hit show. Whatever happened to those people? So why is he so defensive about expressing opinions? It seems like a central part of his identity, his emotional assessment of stuff. Why can't he say, "Hi, I'm Don Lemon, and I have more opinions than a meth-addled cab driver"? Instead, we have to laugh at his nightly denials. After me, he's the funniest late-night show.
Gutfeld went after the final chapter of Don Lemon's career, with the ferocity of a lion finally let out of its cage. Lemon, on the other hand, delivered breaking news with all the urgency of someone politely asking a barista to redo their latte detached. Theatrical and oddly overwrought. In Gutfeld's view, Lemon didn't just report the news. He staged it. It wasn't journalism, he joked, but a method actor reciting a grocery list, each word drenched in misplaced drama. As if the fate of humanity hinged on whether we had eggs or almond milk.
Election deniers to people who don't believe in facts, we don't have a shared reality, and now it's taken center stage to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, an election denier, a conspiracy theorist, a QAnon sort of influencer or supporter presiding over the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. It's a sad day for America when that happens, and it's a sad time for us when we have to deal with it.
Okay, so here's the context you need to understand what just happened there. Caitlin Collins is interviewing James Comer, head of oversight now, who's doing all the investigations. And in that interview, he mentioned something about the New York.
Greg also zeroed in on Lemon's well-known obsession with being on the right side of history, a position that, according to Gutfeld, shifted with the direction of the Twitter breeze. If history were a treadmill, Gutfeld joked, Lemon would be jogging in place while delivering self-important lectures. Everyone else might be running at full speed, but Lemon's stationary moral grandstanding nearly had Gutfeld doubled over with laughter during a morning show. Greg Gutfeld tore into Don Lemon's move to the morning show.
And dimmest Rube is back on the tube. Yeah, Don Lemon gets an HR warning, then returns to help CNN have a bad morning. Lady-hating numbskull Don Lemon is set to return to his low-rated morning show tomorrow after vacationing in Miami. That's him on the left. I'm over here. But he proves criminals always return to this.
Comparing it to hiring a mind reader to narrate an audiobook comfortable, pointless, and oddly praised for being relatable at sunrise. He dubbed Lemon a jacket-wearing hottie alarm clock and ramped up the roast by skewering his on-air meltdowns, saying Lemon could turn a traffic report into a constitutional crisis and a weather update into a full-blown sermon. Even good news, Gutfeld quipped, came with a fine and a lecture. He mocked Lemon's smug grin, turtlenecks, and glasses, suggesting his wardrobe was chosen by dishonest mirrors. As for his approach to facts, Gutfeld likened it to a gingerbread house. In a rainstorm, pretty at first, but quickly falling apart. He joked that even if Lemon declared the sun hot, viewers would somehow still feel cold. Finally, Gutfeld took aim at Lemon's CNN exit, framing it less as a resignation and more like a long overdue software update. Once he was gone, everything just ran smoother. CNN, he said, finally chose survival over stubbornness.
There's a QAnon sort of influencer or supporter presiding over the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. It's a sad day for America when that happens, and it's a sad time for us when we have to deal with it.
Okay, so here's the context you need to understand what just happened there. Caitlin Collins is interviewing James Comer, head of oversight now, who's doing all the investigations. And in that interview, he mentioned something about the New York Post, cited something, referred to the New York Post. And then they wrapped. And when they tossed back to the studio, Don Lemon was chastising her in that clip for not challenging him.
Megyn Kelly, on another platform, delivered a roast of Don Lemon that was icy, surgical, and ruthlessly precise. She didn't shout, she sliced. Kelly called out Lemon's ever-present air of moral superiority, noting the trail of self-satisfaction that seemed to follow him everywhere. G said he treated rolling his eyes as a form of punctuation, mistaking disdain for conviction, mocking his performative neutrality. Kelly compared his commentary to something scribbled by an angry freshman armed with hashtags. She likened his role on panels to a crooked referee tripping players and then handing out penalties. Kelly also skewered his habit of turning every conversation into a sermon about why everyone else needed to change.